what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Child of Mecha live stream. I am your host, Tim, the one and only Child of Mecha, and hey, we actually have an early show today. What about that, eh? Well, miracles never cease. Just saying. Anywho, I know we're a little late, but still, we're having an early stream, right? So new shirt day, sort of new shirt day. And Bill says, Mecha Army shirt? No, not really. I'll show you guys here in a few seconds. I'm just gonna let it savor, let the anticipation marinate a bit. Yeah. So how are you guys? How's your day going? My day's not great. Oh, look at that! Alex Andrews with the £2 super chat straight out of the gate. Alexa and monitor. Yes, they are both in. Well, Alexa's off, monitor's on. Right? Anyway. All right, let's go. Like I said, this is not necessarily totally new, but it's kind of newish. So, just FYI. Tomorrow will be, I think you guys will like tomorrow's one. Probably better than today's. Just fair. Hey, now it finally shows up in the notifications. But I think, like I said, I think you guys will probably like tomorrow's better. I like tomorrow's shirt better than this one, but I still do love this one. So, just FYI. Anyway, without any further ado. Ooh, look at that. The Titans on a dark shirt. Yeah. Yeah. The Hazel the Hazel bunny there. So this is not, it's not in the store yet. It's not up there as of yet, but it will be soonish. Yeah. Soonish. Yeah. But you know, I love this design, this bunny, right? It's just I don't know why. It's super cool, man. A lot of the Titans test teams, Persistent Turtle, $1.99 super chat. He says, "Take it off." Stop it, Lucas. It's not this is not camera 3 material, buddy. But anyway, no, I've always loved this particular design. Like, all the Titans test team designs are cool, but there's just something classic about the original bunny. There you go. Oh, you know what? Hey, first one here, Alex Andrews. A. Second one, Mr. Lucas. A. There we are. Anywho. Ah, man. So, Bill says, I'm reading an email from CEO talking about the current social situation and him twisting it to say how great the company is. Wow. Yeah. Like I said, in the very, very beginning of things here, you know, there's two topics that are off limits, and I've always kind of stayed on these two rules: politics and religion. So that's, you know, those are two topics that, you know, we do not discuss because it's complex and it is divisive, and that's not what we're about. We're about building little giant robots, right? Having fun and trying to bring everybody together. So that's what we're going to be doing. Anywho, but like I said, the Titans shirt will be posted in the store soonish. I'm still waiting on a new hat. Those are still backed up like crazy. So, yeah, it is what it is. COVID. Alexander says, what about the politics of mecha building and customization? Shut up, Alex. Jesus, man. Anyway, let's see. Let's check in with the Mecha Army Facebook group over there. Let's see. It looks like we got William Wilms. He says, salutations, Mecha Army. What's up, William? Mr. Drew Wilcox is over there. He says, I'm excited for some sweet SD builds. I don't know about sweet, but we're going to do an SD build, yeah. Let's see. Howard Rivera is over there. He says, my day from home working some certificates for some graduation students. Nice. And he says, beautiful shirt, and I want you to let me know when to buy some shirts and a cap. Dude, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Like I said, keep track of the social medias. There will be an announcement once the new shirts and everything will be updated. And what I'm thinking is to actually change the shirts used, actually, right? Because the current shirts used are by a company called Gildan, right? And some of you may know, some of you have no freaking clue who actually makes the shirt that you're wearing, right? But no matter, because that's why I'm here. But Gildan is a great shirt, and I've got a ton of their shirts, both printed and plain and the whole 9 yards, and they are like very durable, very, very durable. The one issue that I have with Gildan is like is that they're a heavier shirt, and the fabric is, even though it's very, very durable, it's not the most comfortable. It's still comfortable. It's just not the most comfortable, right? So this one is ooh, hey, Plamo Build Report hosting. What's going on? Thank you for that. I appreciate you. Get one of these as well. Hey. But anyway, the shirt brand that this is, and then like all my other shirts are, Bella Canvas, yeah, and these are slightly thinner, still very durable, I've got shirts that I've in this brand that I've had for years, right? But the cool thing is about this is that you could tear the tag off, the hang tag. You can rip it right off, and no ill effects at all or anything like that. So it's really, really cool. And these are super comfortable, especially for summer, right? So I'm thinking of changing everything over to this company. But it's also, the other cool thing is that they've got way more colors in shirts and stuff too. So that's another option, right? Yeah. So once I make the change and everything like that, I'll let you guys know. The new shirts will probably be up first, but the full changeover will obviously have to come at a later time, because that's going to be a task to change all of those over. There's a lot of them. So anyway, Chris Pab says, Manny, your hat is on its way. Ooh, wait a minute. Let's see if Pabsy got that. Let's check ours, right? Because I checked the status of things last night, and my and Manny's hat we're still waiting to be produced. But let's check today. Let's get an update on the orders and things. Yeah, and let's see what we've got. Still waiting for production. Okay, so oh well. Like I said, I'm waiting on a hat too, so I'm right there with you, Manny. Anywho, let's see. Thomas Christopher Staten is over there on the Mech Army Facebook group. He says, damn right, not everyone has the same views. That's true, yeah, right? Howard Rivera says, right now is time to relax. Well, I don't know about relaxing. We're going to be building. If that's relaxing, then hey, Cool, right? William Williams over there says like, exactly. Don't need all the haters of the Wing Zero cop to get too cocky. God damn it, Will. Nice. Good comment. Good comment. Jesus Christ. Oh hell. Nice. Lucas over there on YouTube, he says camera 3 rules. Watch but can't touch. Hey. Whew. This is not a champagne room situation, Lucas. I'm telling you that right now, buddy. Don't get your hopes up. Oh man. Anywho, Alex Andrews says, but do they have color shift shirts? Oh my god, like, you got, most of you probably won't remember it. What were the color changing shirts back in the day? I forget. But I remember I was in middle school. So this was like early 90s, right? And my mother, she worked at a department store here in the States called Hex, right? HECHT''S, right? And unfortunately they're no longer around. You know, it was a chain store and they went bankrupt many years ago. When the whole color, you know, the heat activated thing there, Bill, what is it, color, it wasn't color shift, hyper color. Thank you, Carl. Think they were called hyper color shirts. Yes, Carl, Mr. Goalie Zero over there on Twitter. Hey, you know what, Carl, you get one of these for the assist. But yeah, they were called hypercolor shirts, right? And you know, they had, you know, commercials all over TV and everything and all that, and they were like freaking awesome back in the day, right? First of its kind, yeah. My mom knew that they were coming in, right? So like I said, I'm in middle school. I think I was in like 7th or 8th grade, something like that, right? So I'm just a, you know, dumb kid, and I told her, I said, I need these shirts, right? Because they're cool. Hey, look at this, Carl. Nothing like aging yourself with Twitch comment. Hey, eat 52 bits. Thank you, Carl, buddy. Appreciate it. And I got no bones about aging myself, dude. I'm 42. I'm shit. Look at see that? Reed Richards gray. Let's get some. Yeah, and then right along here. I'm not old. I'm distinguished. Anyway, but yeah, so like I said, the moment they came in, like, my mom was a champ. She grabbed all 3 kinds, right? Because there were 3 different colors and everything, and she grabbed them for me, right? Brought them home, and I was just like, man, this is awesome. Warm to school. Like I was like, I felt like I was king shit, right? The weird part was just like, everybody was just like touching me like all day to make the color change and everything. It was just very weird, a very weird situation, and I will always remember that. So anyway, little anecdote. But yeah, so hypercolor. Thank you, Carl. Carl says these young Gumpo punks these days have never worn a pair of Zubaz in their life. Yeah, I never wore Zubaz either, man. It was not my thing back in the day. Nope. And for those of you that are completely lost on what Zubaz are, they were early mid 90s like parachute pants. Like, you know, if you remember MC Hammer, you know, can't touch this, do, you know, that guy. The parachute pants, that's what these Zubaz were, but they were different in the fact that they were sport team related, right? Mostly like NFL and Major League Baseball, and they had these weird, they were almost like tiger stripe deals, right? So like back in the day, I know they're the Las Vegas Raiders now, but back in the day they were LA and Oakland Raiders, right? So they would be like a black base color for these pants, and mind you, remember these are like parachute pants, not crazy, but still baggy, and they had the elastic at the bottom and everything, and you know, the elastic around the waist, and they were just, I don't know. I never got into them. I hated the look, but so many people were into it, right? But it was just like this weird tiger stripe. So it was, for the Raiders, it was just like a black base with these silver tiger stripe outlines and everything like that. And it was just, it was so tacky and bad. If you want to have a good laugh, go look up Zubaz. What is it, Carl? Zubaz. Yeah, go look that up, and trust me, you'll have a good laugh at what people wore back in the freaking 90s and stuff, man. It's just, whoo, boy, one of those times, man. One of those times. But yeah, I was just a dumb little kid back then, you know, like I said, 8th grade, something like that, in the early 90s. So like, what was it? 90, I want to say like 91. I was in 7th or 8th grade, something like that. Yeah. It is what it is. But let's see. Mr. Bill Ruslam over there on YouTube, he says, I laugh because all the wannabe hippies would buy those color change tie-dye shirts because nothing says returning to nature like wearing clothes with the most chemicals in it. Nice. Let's see. Gert Madirt is over there on YouTube. He says, what up, Mech Army? What's going on, man? Bill says, I graduated in 97. Hey, you were a year after me, Bill. I graduated in 96. Very good. Let's see. Carl over there on Twitch, he says, they were like if Photoshop filters became pants. That's very accurate, actually. That's really freaking accurate. Oh, man. 90s were crazy, man. The 90s were like kind of like a redo of the extravagant 80s. When everybody was like high on the stock market and, you know, like power shoulder suits and you know, doing cocaine and all that crap, and it's just, you know, being wild, right? Like that's what the early 90s was kind of like, but more neon colors and just bigger hair. It's crazy. Oh man, it was crazy. But let's see. Chris Degger says, I remember both of those, but I was way too poor to buy them. LOL, I got hand-me-down clothing from my uncle. Oh dude, you know, trust me, I wouldn't we weren't good off either. Like I said, single mom working at a department store, right? Yeah. It's one of those things, man. Let's see. Handren, Mr. Hasaki Art is over there on YouTube. He says, the same year the Combine shooting happened scared the shit out of all of us. Dude, yeah, I can imagine. That was not a fun time. Not a fun time. Chris Degger says, with more attitude, because fuck the system, right? Let's see. Gert Madirt says, was it the Road Warriors that wore Zubaz? Man, it might have been. Like I said, I wasn't into Zubaz, and I wasn't into wrestling all that much. Every now and then, you know, especially like during like the NWO and like Bill Goldberg glory days. Like I was into it at that point, but just kind of like whatever. Let's see. Chris, I'm hoping I pronounce your last name right. Celebi? We'll go with that. He says the Road Warriors. Oh, man. Right? Carl over there, Mr. Goalie Zero on Twitch. He says the 90s, man. Fresh Prince, G Gundam, Vanilla Ice, Timmons tie-dye hypercolor shirt. Bill Clinton, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Whew. Now, mind you, the first hypercolor shirts were not tie-dye. They were solid. They were solid colors, and they just said hypercolor across the front, right? And I remember, what was it? I had there was a purple one that changed to pink. There was I want to say like a turquoise one that changed to like green. That was not the greatest one. And then there was, I think, like a light blue that changed to pink. Something like that. Anyway, but yeah, they were crazy. Those were like the first three rollout colors, right? But then they expanded into other colors and designs and stuff like that. And man, what a time to be alive, right? Your shirt, your freaking shirt can change color. Like, come on. Now it's like, yeah, it is what it is, right? But back then, oh shit, everybody was clamoring for it. They sold out like super quick and everything too. So yeah, man, hypercolor back in the day were cool. They were cool, man. Anyway, let's see. Get caught up here. Inkao Chihung is over there. He says, "Guess I'm too young for this." He says, "I was born in '98." Eh, that's okay. We won't hold that against you. Bill says, "I remember watching the OJ chase in shop class." Ooh, yeah, I remember that, right? Pab says it was the New Age Rockers. Was it? I have no idea. Chris, that's a hell of a tag team name, the New Age Rockers. Anyway, Chris Degger says, The Warriors, that was a killer movie. Gonna watch that after the stream. Yeah, The Warriors. Especially in the beginning, you know, with the little creepy dude. Warriors, come out and play, yay! You know that scene? Oh, so good. And then the one dude in the beginning, I forget what, God, it's been so long since I've seen that movie. He's just like, "Can you dig it?" Right? Oh, man, that guy kind of got me hype. Got everybody hype back in the day. So, yeah. Let's see. Chris Celebi over there. He says, "Yep, got it. Got it. There you go. Cool. 1 for 1." Hisaki Art. Bill Clinton. He didn't do it. Hey. Again, guys. I hate to say it, but politics and religion. Let's not tread into those waters, you know. Chris Celebi says, "Yep, I had a hypercolor shirt, one that was yellow that turned brown." That's a combination, isn't it? Persistent Turtle, Mr. Lucas says, "I had the color changing Matchbox cars. You ran them underwater to change the color." Yeah, and that was kind of the same thing, right? Because like you know, if you guys remember like the G1 Transformers, right? They had like the Autobot and Decepticon symbols. You had to like heat them up with the friction from your finger to reveal what faction they were in, and that was kind of their, I guess, little shtick and everything. So that was kind of another color changing thing. But color changing has been around for a while. A while. Manny, Mr. McDeo, he's over there on YouTube. What's up, Manny? Says they also had a blue to white. Interesting. I never got past like the first few hypercolor shirts, honestly, because like the whole fad kind of got old really quick, right? So yeah, it is what it is, right? Let's see. Howard Rivera says it would be nice to create the Gundam logos as a sports logo. That would be interesting, right? He says for shirts. Yeah. It could be something we explore, right? Could be something we explore. Who knows? It's not a bad idea, actually. Yeah. Let's see. Handren over there on YouTube, he says 80s, 90s was where society was making big changes. Yeah. Maybe not all for the better, though. there were some tough times back then too. Trust me, tough times. Chris Celebi says early mid 90s is when I started snowboarding, which was all about all the neons. Whew, yeah, trust me, I remember those. The neon colors, and then what was it? The teal and purple craze. Oh my God, with the Charlotte Hornets, they were the ones to blame on that front. They got that crap started, and I was never into the purple and teal thing either, right? I was just never into that. I was always like back in those days, like I was like on the Raiders, the NFL team. Back then it was either Los Angeles or Oakland, mainly because of my favorite sports player, like Bo Jackson, right? Like back in the day, Bo knows, right? One of the best two sport athletes to ever play the games, right? So I was huge into like Bo Jackson. Like he was my favorite running back. Like he would bowl through people, and I would just be like, yeah. So I don't know. I always had like the Raiders starter jackets and everything back in the day. So that was kind of my thing. That was kind of my thing. Let's see. Let's see. Bill says Max Headroom. Ah, the good times. Yo, that was actually a decent show. I'm not gonna lie. That was kind of funny. That whole shtick that he had, like that thing. Oh. Carl over there on Twitch. He says, to be fair, all I remember from my decade in the 90s was playing Doom, watching Twister in the theaters, and the X-Men cartoon theme song. Classic, actually. Classic. Let's see. Lucas says Chameleons. Just saying. Yeah. Alexander says, what's this? Transformers insignia reveal things from G1. Oh yeah, they had like the little stickers, right, on the chest, and you had to rub them, right, and then the friction from your finger, revealed the faction that they were in, either Autobot or Decepticon. So yeah. Let's see. Chris Degger says you can still buy the Hypercolor shirts on Etsy. Wow. Nightmare 440 over there on YouTube. He says, Tim, I love you, brother. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. Plutonic love. Hey. Goalie Zero, Mr. Carl over there on Twitch. 90s fads lasted about 30 seconds. Looney Tunes jackets abandoned in the closet to die. Ooh, yeah. Yeah. The pinstripe starter jerseys. Yeah, those got old real quick. And if you guys remember Crisscross, the little rap duo of kids that wore their clothes backwards, I never did it. I thought it looked dumb from day one, right? I actually had friends that actually did that. They wore their shit backward to school. You talk about verbal beatings. I've never seen worse verbal beatings than what those kids took on those days that they wore their clothes backwards to mimic Crisscross. Slaughter. A verbal slaughter. I know one kid by the end of the day, he had his clothes on the right way. So that gives you any indication how much of a shellacking these kids took. Whew, man. Lesson learned from these kids is that if there's a fad or a trend, let it marinate for a while to see if it actually holds, right? Don't be an initial adopter for trends. Could come back and bite you in the ass. I'm just saying. Just saying. That's the lesson I took from that. And these kids, whew, they learned it real quick too. Not gonna lie. Whew. Let's see. Chris Ellaby over there on YouTube. He says, "Yeah, those purple and turquoise pattern waxy cups. Yeah, well, that too, right? That too." Chris Degger says, Alex Andrews, the sticker on them was black, and if you heated them up, it changed to the faction color. Yeah, exactly. Carl over there on Twitch, he says, Bo Jackson was a badass. Yeah, he was. That dude had wheels for days, and he would run through people, like not hit them and knock them down, or sidestep like, Barry Sanders or, dance, man. He would run literally through people, and it was glorious. I was just in awe, because that's what I wanted to, that's the position I wanted to play back when I played football in high school, was running back. I unfortunately didn't have the wheels for it, the speed. So I switched to fullback temporarily. And the team that I was on, the coaches wanted to use the fullback as basically as a fourth receiver, rather than a ground and pound type of, knock them back blocking type of thing. That didn't work either. So it is what it is. My time was spent on offensive line. Womp womp. So let's see. Charles Dodge over there on YouTube. He says Deion Sanders driving across Atlanta to play football and baseball. Yeah, I think he did. He was great. Deion was great at football. He was mediocre at best at baseball. Where Bo was great at football and still really freaking good at baseball. Like, I remember when he played for the Royals, when he ran up on the wall in the outfield and caught that ball that would have been a home run. Just pure athleticism, and then just knocking home runs out of the park. It was just phenomenal. But man, Deion was great at football. Great. Alex Andrews says they also did the insignia thing for the reveal, the Shield line when that came out. Okay. Chris Selby, starter Atlanta Falcons jacket was so nice. Oh yeah, especially when they changed their colors, to have the base as black and everything, rather than red. That's kind of when that took off, and it's still a good look. Let's see. Bill says Bo Jackson could have been a Hall of Famer if he didn't try to be so dominant in both sports at the same time. Yeah. I mean, obviously the thing that did it was the injury. The hip injury. That just I was actually watching that game when it happened, and as soon as he went down, I'm like, ah. It was just all the wind out of your sails, just gone, right? So, yeah. It's just, one of those things, man. Just one of those things. But let's see here. Thomas Christopher Satin over there on the Mecha Army Facebook page, he says, we got high grade builders chopping it up with master grade and real grade builders. We got SDs building with straight builders and custom builders, and nobody effing with nobody. Can you dig it? I love it. Yes, I can totally dig it. Let's see. Freaking YouTube. YouTube just the page YouTube, not the comments or anything, but the page just took a dump on me. So let me refresh that while we continue to get caught up with the chat. Yeah. Bill says, jump, Manny says, I crisscrossed. Oh, you did not, Manny. You did not. Did you wear your clothes backwards? Oh, I'm so disappointed. You think you know people. Christ. Bill says, Mac Daddy gonna make you jump. Yeah, right. Oh, that was That was not a time I want to remember, unfortunately. Nightmare 440 over there on YouTube. He says, from the 90s, I remember the original Power Rangers theme song. There you go. Transformers Beast Wars and Gundam Wing, which started my passion for Gunpla. There you go. Hey. And it looks like we're back up and running on YouTube. Cool. Cool. The comments updated and everything. Nice. Let's see. Hendren says, Hollywood, the great influencer of ages. Yeah. Big time, right? And Manny, okay, so Manny is over here. He says, not only did I wear my clothes backwards, I had their clothing line. Oh my God, you had crisscross clothing line? Oh. Manny. It's hilarious. Oh my. Let's see. Alexandra says, or do what I do, ignore him completely. Yeah, well, why not? Let's see. Carl over there on Twitch, he says 90s fads that survived. Pokemon. Yeah. One of very few. Charles Dodge says Tilly blew his knees out. Oh, no. It was the hip for Bo. It was the hip. Excuse me. Manny says, I played running back. Nice. Chris Degger says, Michael Jordan playing baseball, LMAO. Whew, yeah. Birmingham Barons. That was the team he played for. Yeah. Gert Madirt says, LOL, right? Bill says, yeah, he never had rest time because he was just year-round pushing it. If he had an off-season, he could have had a Hall of Fame type career in either sport. I agree with you. If he would have focused on football, oh, man, he would have been one of the greatest running backs in history. I believe that. But you know what? He still had an amazing career, and he's still doing good shit today. I will sometimes, see tidbits of, kind of the things that Bo does, and man, he's got charities and all sorts of other fun stuff that he's doing. So shout out to Bo Jackson. Like he's ever going to see this, but still. Let's see. Goalie Zero, Mr. Carl over there on Twitch. He says, if anyone crisscrossed a Gunpla, I will pay for your medical bills after Tim finds you. Whew. Don't tempt me with a good time. Charles Dodge says, hips, I thought it was his knees. Yeah. That was too long ago for me to remember. Yeah, see, that was the thing. If I remember correctly, they were playing the Bengals. The Bungles. And he was taken off down the left sideline, and he had, the floodgates open. There was no defenders in front of him, and he got tackled from behind, and he got pulled down, and that's when his hip popped, and just he was never the same after that. Just never. So it was sad. I was heartbroken. Because I was a little kid, that was like the thing for me. I was just like, yes. Freshman, I was thinking maybe freshman or something in high school, maybe earlier than that. I forget exactly when it happened, but yeah, heartbroken, absolutely heartbroken. But what are you going to do? Let's see. Alexander says, Manny can't be saved at this point now. We forgive Manny's transgressions. We all did dumb shit in the 90s, trust me. Creeping freely for you too, Miss John Lynn. She's over there on YouTube. She says, Tim. Jay. Pab says, it's okay, Manny. He's a twin. Nice. Bill says, I think he blew his knees out once or twice, but once his hip went, that was his career. Yeah. Absolutely. John Lynn says, howdy, everyone. Henry says, Manny, we have a question. How did you go to the restroom? Yeah, right? And that was like one of the biggest things. Like, that was one of the biggest things we gave shit to the kids that did that. We were like, yo, what are you going to do? Like, how you put that on? You reach back here and button your shirt or what? Like, what's the deal? Right? And then one dude, I will never forget it. One dude came in with a hooded t-shirt, right? on, and what we would always do is we and he was one of our friends, so it wasn't like a bullying situation or anything like that. We were just fucking with him. A bunch of them would just a bunch of us would grab him and then pull his freaking hood over his head, and then pull the strings in the back so they were cinched back here, and he'd have to be like this trying to get the hood loose and everything. Oh, like I said, the dumb shit you do as kids, right? But he was our boy, so we demolished him with that stuff. Oh, so bad. It was so bad. Oh, anyway. Let's see. HRO148 over there on YouTube. He says, remember the Looney Tunes shirts with the characters in baggy clothes? Yeah, Space Jam and all that shit. Oh, that was not a good look. I was not into that either. It was just like, let's see. Rusam, Mr. Bill says, Temco Super Bowl. Whoever had Bo won. Yeah, right? Because he was dominant. Sam L's over there on YouTube. He says, hey, everyone. What's going on, Sam? John Lynn says, did you get your box? John Lynn, it's been a shitter of a day again. So no, I did not get to the post office, unfortunately. I'm sorry. I will try my absolute best to get there tomorrow. So, but we'll see, right? It's just been crazy. It's been crazy. Gert Madirt says, I was all about the Seattle Mariners in the 90s. Yeah, Ken Griffey Jr., come on. Like, who couldn't be down with the Mariners back then, right? Alex Andrews says, this is the DMC Tim edition, right? We've been talking, and more than anything, 4:07 already. We're almost an hour into this thing. And VFX10 Viper, Mr. Josh, he's over there on YouTube. Hasaki Art, Mr. Handren, and Chris Degger. I guess they all like the story of the hoodie thing. So, let's see. Carl over there on Twitch, he says, oh shit, I totally forgot. I have a Bo Jackson cell from the Pro Stars cartoon. Check your mailbox in a week or so. That's funny, man. That's funny. Manny says, it was easy. The button and zipper was on the back of the pants. Well, yeah, but still, you had to, like, reach around and, go full drop if you wanted to, pee. Just the logistics of it all. I never got it. Alexander says, Tim, just send your base jabber to the store for you to the post office. Say what? Hold up. What? Alex. Tim, just send you base jabber. What did you? Wait, hold on. Time out, Alex. Are you saying that you sent me a base jabber? For real? Like, is that what I'm translating here? I don't know. You not getting to the post office. Oh. Okay. Okay. Tim, just send you base. Reading is fundamental. Send your base jabber to the store for you to the Now I got it. Got it. Sorry, Alex. Sorry. Trying to read and keep up and everything at the same time. So. But Handren says, Tim, I think it would be great if you set one of the streams for chatting only. Yeah, and we've had streams like this before in the past, and they've been few and far between, but these are fun, right? These are fun streams where it's just talking. Is it, right? It's fun. We get to I kind of get to spit poetic a little bit on shit that I remember or think is cool and everything, and yeah, it's just it's a fun time, right? It's a fun time, and who knows, this might be that we might not get to work today. I don't know, but we might. Who depends on the conversation, really, right? But let's see. Chris R is over there on YouTube. He says hello. What's going on, Chris? Alexander says, nah, I didn't. I thought you may have had one. I wish, right? I wish. Let's see. Bill says, anyone remember the NFL trying to break into comics with Super Pro, the super-powered NFL player? Vaguely. The best tie-in, the best football player tie-in that I can remember was uh, this is gonna date me. The GI Joe mail-in campaign for William the Refrigerator Perry. If you guys don't know who he is, trust me, I don't blame you. He was an amazing defensive lineman for the Chicago Bears back in their kind of dynasty, back in like '84, right? When they won the Super Bowl. And if you want to have an absolute laugh, go look up the Super Bowl Shuffle, right? It's the Chicago Bears, the 1984 Chicago Bears, doing a hip hop song about basically how good they are, and it is hilarious, and it didn't age well at all. But yeah, so you had, with the GI Joes here in the States, and I don't know how it was in other countries, but back then they would have little points on the back of the card that the action figure was pasted to, right? And you would cut those little points out and you would save them to mail in to get whatever promotional thing that Hasbro or whatever company it was had at the time. And the biggest thing for me was the William Refrigerator Perry, the fridge, right? The fridge was this massive man. Like, he was huge, even for football player standards. Like, this dude was like gargantuan, right? And the coolest thing that he did was not only just stuffing, the entire offensive line basically, but he actually ran the ball as like a fullback in certain situations. And I remember the 1984 Super Bowl, he actually ran one in for a touchdown, and it was the most glorious thing ever, right? So to capitalize on that popularity, they did a promotional action figure with William the Refrigerator Perry as a GI Joe figure, right? So I saved up all the points that I could get, and bugged my friends. I would be like, "Yo, hook me up with some points," like. And then I remember my mom sending it in with a $4.99 shipping and handling fee check and everything. Yeah, check. And then a few weeks later, I got it in the mail, and it was just like, this is amazing. He had this this mace on a chain that was actually a football, right? So corny. But the nostalgia level was just like through the roof, right? And I remember as a little kid, man, I loved that. But yeah, and then I also got the Sergeant Slaughter mail-in action figure, the OG. They did a mass produce of Sergeant Slaughter later down the line, but I had like the OG one, again, from saving my points and everything. Like, I was full on GI Joe, man. I loved GI Joe when I was a kid. That was like my main thing, right? Was GI Joe, the 3 3/4 inch action figures. Oh, they were great. Snake Eyes version 2, the most classic. No one can change my mind on that. I'm just saying. But yeah, just good stuff back in the day. Alexander says, "Sweet tea, Tim Thursdays." Nah, it's a true 2-drink minimum now. Let's see. Greek Narcos is over there on Twitch. That's Charles. He says, "Isn't a crisscross Gunpla just have the head, hands, and feet turned around to the back?" Basically that, right? Manny over there on Twitch, he says, "No meaning when you put the crisscross pants on." He says the back of the pants had a button and zipper like the front of ordinary pants. Man, oh man. Oh, Manny. Love it. Anyway, William Wims over there on the Mech Army Facebook group, he says, "The best thing I never forget from the 90s is seeing Jurassic Park in theaters." I never got a chance to see that in theaters. It It was just, yeah, it was one of those things. It never happened, but it is what it is. Bill says the fridge was awesome. He was part of Sergeant Slaughter's group. Yeah, yeah. Charles Dodge says if you don't know the fridge, shame on you. Shame, 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 shame. Nice. HR148 says yes, but if I remember correctly, he was using a prototype football uniform. No. He had so the fridge action figure had this sleeveless T-shirt. And it was, if I remember correctly, it was either red or I think it was red. Might have been blue. No, it was blue. It was kind of like a cornflower type blue, kind of a lightish blue, right? And it had his number on it, 72, in red with white outline, and then he had green pants and like military boots on. Trust me, I remember this. Like this was like ingrained in my head, man. It was so fundamental to my childhood. Yeah, it was great. It was great. So, man, but I still remember the football chain mace that he had. That was just super cool. Let's see. Where do we leave off here? Yeah, goalie zero. Carl says not a bad running back either. The fridge. Yeah, no, I mean he bowled through people. Like there was not many defenders that could stop him. Actually, I don't think there were any defenders that could stop him one-on-one. They had to double, triple, quadruple team this dude just to stop his forward momentum, much less take him down. Like dude was legit a monster. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look it up. William the Refrigerator Perry, or The Fridge. Yeah. Whew. He was a big boy. He was a big boy. Let's see. Manny says it was like normal pants function, just flipped. Fair enough. CML says Pepsi points. God, I remember those too. Jesus. Everybody had points for some reason. It was stupid. And it was just basically a marketing thing to make you buy stuff to get other free stuff, right? But by that time, the amount of stuff that you bought had already paid for the free thing anyway. So, let's see. Chris R says, I got a Lieutenant Savage that was with color changing camo. Nice. Manny says, Key and Peele did a skit on that too. Nice. Let's see. Thomas Christopher Staten says, Snake Eyes has an origin film coming soon. Really? I'll look forward to that. Hell yeah. Love me some Snake Eyes. There was a web series called G.I. Joe Resolute that happened several years ago, and they were basically like 5-7 minute little short snippets of G.I. Joe kind of redone almost. Original characters, original looks and everything like that, but way more mature. Like people freaking died. Like the G.I. Joe character Bazooka, he died right in the get-go of this thing. And then they compiled it all together in a movie, G.I. Joe Resolute. And I'm going to tell you what, if you dig G.I. Joe at all, like even the littlest bit, go watch this movie. You will not be disappointed. It was awesome. I just wish they would make a freaking high definition version of it, so I can buy that, right? What are you gonna do? Let's see. CML says I was super young when Jurassic Park was out in theaters. I wasn't allowed. Yeah, because it was back then. It was, you never saw anything like that back then. That CGI and practical effects were like legit back then. So it really did scare the shit out of people. But yeah, it was a cool time. Ricky Park Carlson over there on YouTube, he says, I still have my Constructicons, put them together to make Devastator. Whoa. Huh. That was one of my favorites back in the day, I'm not gonna lie. HRO148 says that was for Super Pro. There you go. Bill says, yeah, I knew it was HRO. There you go. Goalie Zero, Mr. Carl over there on Twitch. He says, shit, now I want to make a high-grade Gustav Carl into a fridge custom. That's awesome. Chris Degger says, biker mice from Mars. Enough said. See, I never got into that one. I never got into biker mice. I never was in that. Like, I was into, obviously, G.I. Joe, Thundercats, Mask, He-Man, the classics, obviously. What else? Bionic 6, Sky Raiders, Cops. Yo, if you didn't fuck with the Cops, they were amazing. COPS with little apostrophe. I forget what it stood for, but it was like a futuristic cop show, and it was just awesome. What was it? Dino Saucers. Oh, come on now. Dino Saucers was great. What else? The one with the frogs. What were they? Samurai Frogs or something like that? It was a total rip-off of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I was still into it for, like, the 1 or 2 seasons that they did, right? So, what are you going to do? Alexander says, gonna crash, though. I only woke up 2 hours ago. Night all. Stay safe. Be chill. Enjoy the stream. Alex, thank you for watching, buddy. Appreciate you. He says, might also post some 30-minute mission custom pics later. Planning stages only, though. There you go. Bill says, Fridge was like 340 pounds at the time when most linemen were like 250. Yeah, he was monstrous. Like, just big. Let's see. Woobish. Woody's over there, and he says everything was extreme, right? Yeah. Oh, what was that one? Centurions. Power Extreme. Thank you, Woody. Yes, I remember that too. It was great. Gert Dirt says the G.I. Joe Ninja comics were pretty badass. See, I was never into the comics. Michael Crumline's over there on YouTube. What's going on, Michael? He says, my parents took me to see it in theaters. I was 9 or 10. Oh, scarred you for life, probably, right? Let's see. Howard Rivera says, I had the A-Team toys. Nice. William, and this is over on the Mech Army Facebook group. William says, wish I had kept my Power Rangers Megazord toy from the movie, right? Thomas Christopher Sadden says, Battletoads. That was it. Yes. I couldn't remember what it was, but it was Battletoads. Yo, that was a hard as shit game too on the NES. Like I tossed it. I tried so many freaking times to pass that like 3rd or 4th level or whatever. I was just like, fuck this, I'm out, Oh man. Chris Degger says, Jesus, G1 Devastator is worth bank. I collect G1. That's like a grail for everyone. Yeah, especially intact too, right? Bill says, JC and the Wheeled Warriors. I was like lukewarm on that one, It was a weird concept for me. I was just like, it was alright. Let's see. Sam L. Battletoads. There you go. Garrick Lau is over there on YouTube. He says, I was happiest when G.I. Joe figures added the arm rotation joint in the biceps. Yeah. That I remember that too. So for those of you that don't remember or don't know, so back in the day, like the first few generations of G.I. Joe figures, the arm would only go up and down like this. There was no other articulation, and there was, rotational movement in the shoulder joint, but the arm only had lateral movement this way, right? Just like that, like a crossing guard, right? But then, like, I think it was like the 2nd or 3rd series, they made a rotational thing here, so it could go, like this, right? And that just changed the game for G.I. Joe action figures. Completely changed the game. And yeah, I agree. Best articulation mod in the 90s. Absolutely 100%. Yeah. And then everybody did that. That was like fundamental, just for action figures. Stupid, but still. Yes, okay, so Gertmer Dirt, Bishop Mochi, Chris Degger, they all were like Battletoads. See, I'm glad some people remember, man. Manny says cops. Yes. Loved cops. Let's see. Manny said Centurions. There you go. Michael Carmine MVPs with Bo Jackson, Michael Jordan and Wayne Gretzky. I actually remember that. Like, that was a Saturday morning thing. I do remember that. Yeah. Yeah. Henry says, Tim Gumpler related comment, the Scratch Build Manual 2 is going for around 150 on Amazon. Holy shit. That's insane. That's crazy. It's great, but that's like crazy. Whew. Hold on to mine. I like it too much. Ricky Parr Carlson says, what sucks is all those 80s toys and shows were for your children, and I was effing working my ass off. Damn kids, right? Manny says, oh, and Mask. Yeah, Mask was great. Oof, I loved Mask. That was one of my favorites. Greg Blair 88, he's over there on YouTube. He says, I've started collecting the original Star Wars action figures so far. I have Vader and Chewie. Nice. You're getting in deep on money on when those things, yeah. Bill says when the G.I. Joe figures could finally nod. Yeah, rather than just just side to side. That was another one. But I think the arm rotation thing, that was the game changer. That was the game changer. Henry says, just like the 90s Gunpla. Yeah, man. Ricky Paul Carlson says, proud boomer since 1961. Okay, boomer. I'm sorry, Ricky. I'm sorry. I had to do it. I won't do it again, but I had to get my one in. Manny says, G.I. Joe also had that rubber band waist. Yeah, for the articulation. Yeah, I popped many of those rubber bands. And they were thick too, right? But they gave out after a while. They would get like dry rotted and they would just give out. So, one of those things. Henry says, yep. He says, oh shit, you got one. Props. No, yeah, and I've had like scratch build. I had the first one and the second one since like when they came out. So, I paid cover price. What are you going to do? Let's see. Ricky Paul Carlson, LOL. Thank you. Charles Dodge over here on YouTube. He says, look at Dave and Adam's Card World. I know they have several graded original Star Wars figures. Ooh, that's, yeah, money. That's money. That's going to be money. Let's see. William Williams says, I saw that scratch build book at a store here and they wanted $100 for it. Ooh, that's in Japan too. Thomas Christopher Staton says, the figures now have better articulation and grip. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, 100% better. They're just, eons better today than they were, back in my day. God. But Henry says, can't even find full scans of the second one. Yeah, it's tough. Gertmer Dirt says, breaking those rubber bands sucked, my poor Destro. Yeah, because like you had to be like a nuclear physicist just to redo those things, right? And then you had to have the right tools. And like I said, my mom, single mom, so she didn't have fucking tools. So it was either go buy a new one or sorry about your luck, rock and roll. Looks like you're dead, And that was more the case. Like my G.I. Joes would just die off. It was G.I. Joe Resolute before it was Resolute, right? So I remember I remember doing like full battle things like in my grandparents' front yard. Because that's what you did back in the day, right? You would go outside and you would take your G.I. Joes and you would play in the dirt and in the trees and everything. You would reenact scenes from the show and all that. But I remember reenacting like once some of mine, the rubber bands snapped. I remember doing full on battles where they got blown up and everything, and I had to get creative. But yeah, it was just the things you had to do when you were a kid back in the 80s, man. Bill says, I just replaced the rubber bands. I mean, the figures were just held together with a screw. Yeah, true. But being a little kid back then, just once you took that screw out, it was done. It was done. It was never gonna be the same, right? So it is what it is. Um, let's see. HR148 says same. Yeah. Chris R says good old days. Did that with Hot Wheels as well. Nice. Gert McDirt says, "LOL, I feel you. Those were cannon fodder for the 4th of July wars. Yeah, right. Oh man, and I would get crazy with with my GI Joes and in the front yard and everything. And I remember just playing like a kid playing in the dirt, right up against the trees or whatever like I said, in my grandparents' front yard. And I had you had the little vehicles and everything. Like I didn't have many of like the full size ones, like the big tanks and stuff like that. I had like the little ones, so you had to make do. But I remember running those through the dirt and everything like that, and doing the thing like you did when you were a kid, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. A lot of good memories. A lot of good memories, man. Nice. Let's see. Absurd is over there on YouTube. He says, "Bro, I got hooked with Paul Budzik's channel. He talks like an assassin." Right? Man, Paul Budzik is great. I love his channel, man. He is, he's so soft spoken, and the music that he uses is so like soothing. It'll put you to sleep like a baby. It really, really will. But yeah, all of his knowledge and content that he puts out there is just so freaking good. So I'm glad to see that. Absurd. I'm glad you're hooked on Paul Budzik, because it's a good resource. You can learn a lot. Trust me, learn a lot. But let's see. Bill says I only lost him when we launched him up with model rockets. For some reason, the GI Joe figures always landed on concrete. Yeah, yeah. Well, that was always the case, right? Handren says, I was more into little green military toys used to parachute them down. Oh, yeah, no, I had a bunch of those too. Absurd says, ha ha ha, yeah. There you go. Ricky Park Carson says, ooh, Estes rockets. Let's see. Over here on the Mecha Army, Howard Rivera says, I played with He-Man. I love those toys. Yeah, back in the day. Oh man, He-Man was this stuff back in the day, you guys. Like that was they were bigger than the GI Joes. I think the He-Man figures were like 5 inches, where the GI Joes were 3 3/4, right? But the He-Man figures did not have shit of articulation. Their head could go like this, their waist could twist, and their arms only had lateral movement. Like they didn't have any articulation in the elbow. The elbow was bent slightly like this, and the hand was kind of like this. But the arm could only move up and down like this, right? Only. That's it. That's all they had. And then there were like ball joints in the hips. No articulation in the legs or ankles or feet or anything like that. There was like 6 points of articulation. That's it. Six. And man, those were great though. And I love the cartoon when I was a kid. Oh, Battle Cat? Come on, man. What kind of better name can you have for a kid's toy than Battle Cat? An armored up green and yellow freaking tiger. That's awesome. Battle Cat. And he had the big red, gnarly mask that he would transform into and everything with the saddle and all. Oh, man. That was the shit back in the day. I'm telling you. It was the shit. I loved that. Let's see. Chris Degger says, I had those rubber wrestling figures with no joints, lol. They had one pose. I remember those. Like, I had one or two. Like, I wasn't deep into them at the time, but I had, like, one or two. Like, 'cause I had, like, Hulk Hogan and then, like, some other one. I forget which. It might have been, like, King Kong Bundy or something like that, right? But, yeah, like, I got them. or actually, I think my mom got them for me. And then when I saw them, I remember I was super disappointed. Like, yo, this sucks. Like, what do you do with these? Like, I didn't know, right? But yeah, that's why I never got into them. I was just like, yeah, this is lame. I want my GI Joes and my He-Man back. Like, this sucks. Anyway, yeah, good times. William Williams says, I was jealous of a friend who had Ecto 1. Oh, from Ghostbusters. Yeah. Yeah, I remember those. I never I really liked the real Ghostbusters, the actual real deal Ghostbusters cartoon, not the knockoff one. I really dug that whole cartoon, but I was never into the toys when I was a kid. It was just, I don't know, it was just one thing I guess I just didn't it didn't gravitate to me, So it was just one of those things. Let's see. Handren says I had He-Man boots. Oh, you did not. You had furry boots, Handren? I'm gonna put you in the back of the class with Manny, wearing your crisscross gear and your He-Man boots. Oh my God. Ricky Park Carlson says used to strap rocket engines to my sister's Barbies. She never forgave me. Not gonna lie, that's pretty damn funny. Not gonna lie. I never had an older sister or even a younger sister back when I was a kid, so I never got that chance. My closest sister to me is 9 years younger than me, so like I was in, God, I was getting ready. I was getting ready to go into fourth or fifth grade, something like that. So, yeah. Let's see. RF Aurora. Andrew, what's going on? He's over there on YouTube. He says, hey, y'all. What's going on, man? We're just spitting poetic, man. We're talking. It's a talking day. It's a talking episode. Handren willed it into existence here. Bill says He-Man had no articulation. G.I. Joes were too small. Cops had better articulation than G.I. Joe and were the same size as He-Man. And they had bad, cool accessories too, right? You remember those, Bill, right? I remember the one dude, the police chief, he had like the robotic arm, and then he had this like crazy cool handgun. And then there was a guy, a cop that was like the canine specialist, but the dog was like a robotic dog, and that was just super cool. And then there was like your normal beat cop, but he had like, he might have been a sniper if I remember, because he had a big rifle. I can't remember. And then there were like the villains had stupid names, like the one female villain, her name was Miss Demeanor. Get it? Misdemeanor. But yeah, it's just, oh man. That was a fun one. The cops was a fun one. A guy, yeah. Let's see. Sam L says Stretch Armstrong. That was another one I never got into. I never saw the point in it. I was just like, it stretches. Okay. I was just not enough action. Let's see. Charles Dodge says, gotta love all those toys from the 80s after Reagan lifted the restriction on cartoon toy tie-ins. Yeah. I mean, that blew everything up, right? That totally blew everything up. And it was like the golden age of like boys' toys and cartoon tie-ins, yeah? Oh. It literally formed my childhood. And then I remember Thundercats were basically the same articulation as He-Man, but they were more kind of like solid plastic. There was a denser plastic, so the arm would only go up and down like this, and then the legs didn't even have ball joints. They were lateral as well, so the arms would only go up and down like this too, right? But they were big. They were like 5 or 6 inch scale, if I remember correctly. And the shitty part is like the all the action figures were like in this kind of dense plastic, but then and they had points of articulation, but then you would get down to like in Thundercats they were Wile E. Kit and Wile E. Cat. They were like the two kids, the younger kind of portion of the team. They were static pose figures. Like, they were one piece figures. And I was like, what the shit is this? I got gypped. I want my money back. But the Panthro action figure more than made up for it with the nunchucks and everything. Oh, that was so dope. It was awesome. I'm not gonna lie. That was awesome. Let's see. Chris Degger to Ricky Paul Carlson says, I used to decapitate the Barbies and tack them to the ceiling fans, so when my brother came home, all he would see was the spinning heads. Wow. It's creepy, Chris. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a little creepy. Henry says, man, I missed the hell out of Reboot. I was never into Reboot. I never got into Reboot. Yeah. Henry says, yes, sir. Oh, to the furry boots? Man, you're in the back of the class with Manny. You're getting remedial tutoring after school. You guys got detention, man, for wearing this dumb shit. Oh, let's see. William Williams says Super Soakers were the water guns to get. Yeah, I remember those. I had a Super Soaker. It was like one of the smaller ones, but what are you gonna do? Single mom and all. Greg Blair says, I found my brother an original He-Man figure for his birthday a few years back. I wanted to get a Skeletor, but the darn Honda commercial made him super expensive. Oh, yeah. The yeah, I remember that commercial. That was a good commercial, though, actually. But Greg Blair says, I also had a Vac-Man or Pac-Man. Stretch Armstrong's super villain counterpart. Oh, so I guess it was Vac-Man. Because I don't know shit from Stretch Armstrong. I'm not gonna lie. Sam L says only toy I was super big into as a kid was Lego. I had like 3 huge totes full of them. Dude, same. I was into Lego, and there was another building toy called Construx. Completely different, right? You would have these like plastic beams. And they were short, medium, and they were long, right? And then they had some curved beams and stuff like that, and they were plastic. But then they had these almost like turnbuckle type of connectors, right? Basically, it was a box, and on all 6 sides, it had this little connector that you would connect to the ends of the beams, and it was almost like they were almost like erector sets and like Lincoln Logs, but they were way, way, way more elegant and cool, because you could do a ton of stuff with them. And they had like add-ons, like you could put wheels on them, and they had like cockpits and stuff like that, so you can make like spaceships and everything. And I was super, excuse me, super into Construx back when I was a kid as well. And I had a bin full of those, but I also had a bin full of Legos as well, right? Because I was totally into that. I was into castles, and I was into the space guys. And if you guys have seen like the Lego movie, like the first one, that was the classic spaceman, and that was what I was into. And I had that. I think I actually had that spaceship that they kind of referenced in the Lego movie, the first Lego movie. Oh man. Whew, excuse me, man. Work has got me, man. Like, it's tiring dealing with this BS, but it is what it is. But yeah, man, Legos, Constructs, those were both really, really cool back in the day. Oh, those were the days, man. Those were the days. Let's see. Bill says, remember those Ecotech. The super realistic and expensive water guns. Oh, yeah. See, okay. Huh. Man, what a good memory. I actually had a bunch of those Ecotech deals back before the whole law with the orange tip here in the States on, fake guns or toy guns or whatever. Yeah, I had like a couple Uzis, and they were motorized too, and they were not cheap. They were like 20, and this is, mind you, in 80s dollars. They were like 20, 30, $40 for some of them, which was expensive back then, which was very expensive back then. Um, but I remember my mom buying me a few of them, over the course of like a year or so. Birthday, Easter, Christmas, the normal gift giving holidays for kids. I remember those, and a bunch of my friends, that lived in the same neighborhood as I did, had a few of them as well, and we would go. I'll never forget it. There was this like little patch of trees, and it was basically like little forest, very very little, like very little, maybe 2 or 3 townhouse size plots, little. But it was the perfect size for us because we were little kids and we were running around playing army and stuff like that and shooting people with our motorized stupid water guns and stuff and just having a ball. And man, we would go full on. We would, it was stupid stuff back in the 80s. We would make forts, we would find like scrap lumber and plywood and stuff like that and build forts and shit, and like we, our parents would get us like remnant pieces of carpet for free, and we would use that for like camouflage and cover and all that. And it was so dumb, but man, it was so much fun. Like that was like super fundamental part of my childhood growing up, was going outside and playing guns with my friends, and it was good times. It was really good times. But yeah, the Ecotech, whoo, you're taking it back, Bill. I totally forgot about those until you said something, but I do remember those now. Michael Carmine says the original Spawn action figures were awesome. They were super detailed, right? Super detailed. But those came later, like late 90s, early 2000s. And I was probably out of high school by then. So, but they were really cool. Really cool. All of the detail and everything, you never saw that before that. They were awesome. Sam L says to Michael Carmine, says a buddy of mine used to collect all the different Spawn action figures. He would play with them for hours. I can imagine. I remember the original Mecha Spawn. That was so cool. Because it was like a transitional mecha thing for me, because I was out of the Transformers and all that, but then I hadn't gotten into Gunpla yet. So having that kind of satiated my robot, need. And I remember it had wings, and it was just awesomely designed. So yeah, those were great. Let's see. Hendren says, just checked, the reboot is free on Tubi streaming site. I don't know what Tubi is, but I've never heard of it. But hey, sounds like if you guys are going to reboot, you can watch it on Tubi. Sam L says, I remember Constructs. They were the ones that they sold them in like kits for Ferris wheels and stuff. I think you're talking about erector sets and stuff like that. I don't think Constructs, were more sold in like vehicles and buildings and stuff like that, because they actually had little figures that you could ride around in whatever you made and stuff like that. So I think you might be thinking of something different, Sam. Let's see. Andrew RF Aurora says, I sold most of my Legos last year. Man, you're missing out, because they make great mold boxes. Just saying. Gert McDirt says, are you talking about Connects? Yeah, I think that's what Sam L is talking. But no, Connects was actually something different. Constructs, Construx, Constructs. That's how it was spelled, if I remember correctly. So, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, and Sam L says, that's what I'm thinking of, Gert. Yeah, there you go. Ricky Paul Carlson says, I used to also play with Cox engine static line airplanes with fuel Battery to start the engine with your finger to actually start the engine. Lost lots of fingertip skin. Whew, man. Dangerous. Andrew says you need an IV drip of your Coke Zero, Tim. Hey. Mike Skyers is over there on YouTube. He says, I had a Street Shark and Biker Mice toys. I wish I knew where they went, right? Hey, man, mom's always threw those things out, right? Andrew says, I had a 9mm shaped Ecotech water gun. I think that was kind of a standard one that everybody had. I had those too. Bill says, the big one was like $100. My brother got it 1 year. Oh. And if I remember correctly, it was like an M60 or something like that. Something crazy big. Yeah. Kirk McDirt says, I had a ton of Connects. They had the motors and stuff kind of like Technique. It kind of like Technic it with a Rector set, but I like them more. Yeah. Henry says, Tim, this would serve as a great memory watch later on for your kid. Yeah, she doesn't give two shits about that though. Honestly, honestly. Let's see. Bill says Uzi was like 40. Man, blew all the other guns out of the water. Pardon the pun. No, literally, because it was motorized and everything. That was like, because it would go, and I think in later models they actually had like a sound chip, so you would hear the, kind of almost like gunshots, like like they were big into it, but then they lost their shirts over it when the law got changed and they outlawed realistic, toy weapons and stuff. So what are you gonna do? Gert McDirt says, "Oh, I had that Uzi." Nice. Emil 7442 over there on Twitch. They're over there. They say, "Yo, what's going on?" Greg Blair 88 says, "I have the first Spawn action figure. It was Spawn with flying cape action. Also came with a comic book." Yeah. Emil says, what's Mecha? Just dropped by randomly. Mecha is basically like giant mechanized robots, Emil. So, yeah, fandom, geekdom, that type of thing. So we're into building what are called Gunpla or Gundam models, right? So we do them up. We take it, like as seriously as any scale modeling, like planes and tanks and stuff like that. And right now, though, today, you're kind of dropping in on a kind of an outlier episode. We're just talking today. We haven't even built anything at this point, so we're just kind of spitting poetic on nostalgia and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, if you're into that, man, come back, hang out with it. If not, I get it. It's cool. RF Aurora Andrew over there on YouTube, he says, I used to get in trouble with my parents because I quit sharing my toys for a while since my friends would destroy them. Well, I mean, that's a good reason, right? Bill over there on YouTube, Mr. Rushlami says, yeah, and mind you, this was before the Super Soaker came out, so the Ecotech guns had longer range and could fire faster than competitors. Exactly. Thomas Christopher Staten over there on the Mecha Army Facebook group, he says, what started my love for Mecha was Exo Squad. I totally forgot about that. Yeah. And then William Wilms over there responds, says, oh no, Thomas, for me it was Voltron. Ooh. Yeah. Oh man, the Lion Voltron. That was such a great toy back in the day. Oh, I begged my mom for the better part of a year and a half, maybe even 2 years, to get me that for Christmas, right? And then it was distributed here in the States by Matchbox, if I remember correctly. And I don't even think Matchbox is around anymore. It was basically like Hot Wheels competitor, right? And they were back in the day, they were both kind of neck and neck, like Coke and Pepsi, right? But at some point I think Matchbox went away because I don't remember seeing those anymore. But I could be wrong, I don't know. Anyway, but Matchbox distributed the Voltron toy from Japan over here in the States. and it was super hard to find. Like, you had to go like specialty stores and stuff like that to find it, and you know, back then there weren't many of those, right? So I remember my stepfather at the time scored one when he was traveling for business one year, and man, you talk about an amazing gift, right? These things were like plastic and a lot of die cast metal, and you know, they were your favorite cartoon come to life in front of you, and they transformed and everything, and they were badass, man. Like, that was such a good time, such a good time. Let's see. Chris R says erector sets. Yeah, those were another kind of form of the construction toys back then, right? Andrew says, yeah, I know, Tim, kicking myself in the ass for it now, since it seems I'm going to be doing resin casting. You can get cheap sets on Amazon, though, Andrew, so I wouldn't kick yourself too much, to be honest with you. Greg Blair 88 over there on YouTube, he says, I had all the Power Ranger toys that when you pushed a button and the head flipped up and it was the helmet. I remember those. It was kind of later. I was probably in middle school, high school, beginning of high school maybe, so I wasn't into toys at the time, but I remember seeing those. Yeah. Henry says later on she will. Maybe we'll see, right? Fingers crossed. Let's see. Chris R says, I miss Pogs. Oh my freaking god. I completely forgot about Pogs. Holy shit. My friends were deep into it. I never got into it. I just never saw the point. It was like dumb for me. I was like, so you scatter all of these little paper discs on the ground, and then you have this heavier metal type disc, and you just slam them into that and see how many you could flip over. I'm like, how is that entertaining? How is that fun? I don't get it. So I never got into it, but some of my friends were deep into it, right? And that was the premise of the game. But then there was a collector aspect to it as well, because the Pogs, the paper discs, would come in, you know, with artwork and stuff like that on them, and then, you know, the heavier disc was called, I think, a Slammer or something like that, and they had their art, you know, some artwork on there, and some of them were like super exclusive and rare and stuff, and people would get into those big time. That was like the early 90s 80s equivalent of freaking, or the male version of what you call it, Beanie Babies, right? Stupid. In my opinion, it was stupid. Anyway. Bill says, Robotech. Man, you're lucky tech's in here. Greg Blair says, Matchbox is still around. Okay, I don't notice these things. I hardly go down to toy aisles anymore, to be honest with you. Andrew says, I had most of the Lions for Voltron, and Matchbox is still around. So there you go. Hendren says, my first robot show exposure was the Super Robot Grendizer. See, I remember Mazinga Z being on like Saturday mornings, like early Saturday mornings, like 5 a.m. and shit. Like I'm not getting up to watch that. That's not happening. So I saw some of them back in the day, but again, never got into it. Let's see. Sorvon Zero's over there on Twitch. He says, man, my brother-in-law still has one of those big Voltrons. Ooh, that's a nice thing to have, I'm not going to lie. Henry says, that Deep Striker box at the back looks mighty fine. It'll get done when it gets done, right? Sam L says, I had so many Pogs. Chris Degger says, oh my god, Pogs, right? Sam L says, I forgot about those too. Andrew says, oh god, Pogs, right? Chris R says, I still have my Pogs. Jesus, Chris. Bill says, only person I know that doesn't like Robotech doesn't like it because a blue-haired man and a red-haired woman had a blonde baby. Yeah. Samuel says, I just like the pictures mostly. There you go. Chris Degger says, it was gambling for kids. It really was, yeah. Chris R says, it's called a Slammer, Tim. Duh. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Chris Jones, 1388 is over there on YouTube. What's going on, man? He says Pogs were just marbles for 90s kids. Yeah, pretty good equivalent, right? William Wilms over there on Mech Army Facebook group. He says Pogs were nothing more than an entry gambling for kids. Yeah, again. Andrew over here on YouTube, he says, I made my parents go to as many Burger Kings as it took to get the Saturn V Apollo 13 Pog storage container. Holy shit, I remember that now too. They had like storage containers. They were like these little tubes. They were almost like pretzel cans, right? But most of them were clear. And yeah, they had a little pop cap on the top, and that's where you would keep your Pogs and your Slammer or whatever, because they were all the same size. Oh, just the dumbest shit back then. Oh man. Gert Madirt says, haha, my intro to Gundam was through Pogs. I found a bunch of SD ones. No one wanted to play where I was, though. It was just a collection thing. Yeah. Sam L says, I had a Slammer that was in the shape of a ninja star. Sam, are you just sure you didn't have a ninja star? Like, come on. Charles Dodge says, you can get custom Pogs and Pogs Slammers made today. Oof. But who would want to, though? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Ashkan Hami is over there on Facebook. He says, hey, Tim. Hope you're staying safe. Have you tried or interested in 5-star story kits? I've never tried them, no. Would I be interested in them? Partially. I don't know. Excuse me. It depends on the kit, man, because you know you have your older kits, which I know Tex Armida, she's building right now. She's building a Bang doll, and it's one of the older kits, so it's kind of like a grenade. But then the newer kits, I forget who they're by. I think it's like Kotobukiya, Hasegawa, one of them. Those kits are way more complex and way better than the older ones. So I don't know. I mean, I don't ever see myself buying one, but if I had the chance to build it, I don't know, maybe. It's not my thing. Yeah, not my thing. Ricky Paul Carlson says, Pog's equivalent smashing... Oh, from Game of Thrones. That was one of my favorite episodes. Smashing beetles with a rock. Ka-thunk, ka-thunk, ka-thunk. Yeah, where Tyrion and shit, what's his brother's name? I forget. But where they're in the cell and Tyrion is about to have trial by combat where Oberyn is fighting the Mountain and he gets his head smashed in. Spoiler alert. But yeah, that whole scene I just absolutely love. That actually came up just here recently in my Facebook memories, because I had commented that night when that episode came out, and that, yeah, it came up recently, so that's funny. That's a little quinky dink. Gert McDirt says, LOL, right? Yeah. Bill says Pog's predecessor to Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh. Exactly. Chris R says, I have that. LOL. There was a Del Taco special container and Pog set. See? There you go. Sam L says, I'm sure, haha, my parents wouldn't even let me have a pocket knife then. Yeah. Bill says, stop yawning. Dude, I can't help it, man. I'm so tired. You don't even know. You don't even know. Like, work is killing me. It's the frustration level. And it's not like I'm getting tortured. It's just the level of stupidity that I have to deal with sometimes. It's just mind-numbing. And every single email that I see come across my inbox is just like, oh God, what now? What level of stupidity am I dealing with here, right? And it's just like, oh my God, every single time. And it drains me. So I can't help it, man. I'm sorry. I know you're still at work, Bill, and I'm so sorry for that. But dude, it's crazy. Henry says, "Damn it, stop yawning. Getting sleepy." Sorry, guys. I will try my best to stop, or at least do it off camera, right? Bill says I got 10 minutes left to work. Yeah. Chris Degger says dumbest thing I wanted as a kid was devil sticks. He says, LOL, they were just sticks that you used to flip another stick. Oh, I remember those, like the juggling thing. Yeah. Yeah. That was like in the same time hacky sacks were like kind of big, right? Yeah. I think that was probably my freshman or sophomore year in high school. Because I remember the hippie kids going out into the courtyard during lunch, and they would play hacky sack, and then they would have their thingy. Yeah. I never knew what they were called, but I guess they were devil sticks. Weird name, but hey, whatever it takes, right? Chris R says I feel that, Tim. He says, oh, my corporate manager called today. I'm getting my own store. Hey, congratulations, dude. That's awesome news. Hell yeah. Manager of his own store. Now you're the boss. Now you're responsible for everybody. Yeah. Man. Let's see. Andrew says Gunpla store. Nice. At Chris. Question mark. No. It's not. I think Chris, you're working like an automotive store, right? Right? I think so. Henry says, congrats, Chris. Yeah, Bill says, nice, Chris. Now stop working 100+ hours a week. Yeah. Andrew says he'll be working 125+ hours now. I doubt it. Chris Degger says, congrats, Mr. Fancy Pants. Hey. Chris R says the auto parts. There you go. Yeah. That's what I thought. Gert McDirt says, hey, congrats. Hendren says, oh, nice auto parts. Yeah. An almost recession-proof type of industry. Food for thought. Because everybody has cars. Everybody needs cars serviced. Even essential workers. And, yeah. Parts is a safe kind of business. Unless we go fully electric, and then you're kind of like SOL for a while. But I don't see that happening for a very long time, right? But yeah, it's a very recession friendly industry. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know why I brought that up. Mainly because that's what I work in. I work in the automotive industry. I work for a consulting group. So, but I'm brand manager, so I'm the only creative person in the entire company. So, yeah, it's just people that think they know how to produce PowerPoints and things like that when they actually don't have a fucking clue. Yeah. Painful. Anyway. Bill says, all right, folks, talk to y'all later. Bill, thank you, buddy, as always. Ricky Paul Carlson says, I don't have a car. Got wheelchair parts? Hey, there you go. Chris Degger says, just sell parts for electric cars. I don't see it being that bad. No, but there'll be a transitional period where people won't know how to fix those things unless you're a specialist. And then the battery cells and stuff like that, from what I understand, state by state, the rules change from being able to deal with those and work with those batteries and stuff. And then on top of that, you look at companies like Tesla, where they have a corner on the whole maintenance side of their business, right? So if you buy a Tesla, you can only take it to a Tesla dealership to have it serviced, because a lot of that is proprietary, and it's just like an iPhone. If you try to work on it yourself, you'll brick it. Now, mind you, yes, there's ways around that, and there are specialists who can repair and rebuild Teslas and stuff like that. But as of right now, they're few and far between. So yeah, Tesla is a little funny in that regard. They don't like having stuff outside of their ecosystem. So they want to have control over all of that. It's very similar to Apple. Very similar to Apple. Yeah. So, let's see. Chris R says, I love my job. We also sell parts for boats, farm equipment, and big rigs. Hey, that's a safe industry. Andrew says, off topic to Gunpla, but does anyone know where I can get aluminum tubing of certain diameters? 1 1/4 outer diameter with a 1-inch inner diameter, and some other measurements. The best thing that I would tell you, Andrew, is a company called McMaster Car. Look them up on Google, McMaster Car. They are probably the best hardware, online hardware company in existence. If they don't have it, then you're probably going to have to go to a specialty site, like a metal company or something like that. So, yeah. Chris Decker says, I can see it now, a creative person in a room with a bunch of used car salesmen. LOL, sounds terrible. Oh, dude, you have no idea. Just the and this is what I was dealing with last week, having to reformat PowerPoints that didn't use master slides, and basically having to manually reformat every single slide. Mind-numbing. Just like, that's what you want to do at the end of the day, you know? Stupid. Anyway, let's see. HR148 says Tesla doesn't like you working on your own car. Yeah, like I said, they like to keep that stuff proprietary, right? Henry says automotive switching to fully electric won't be happening for many years, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree. We're too embedded with, the fossil fuel, gasoline, diesel burning cars at this point. There's too much of an industry around it and all of that. So yeah, I don't see it happening for many, many years either, Handren. So yeah. And Handren says, if it ever happens. Yeah. There's always going to be a nostalgia for cars anyways in general, right? I mean, you look at the nostalgia for cars today. I mean, you look at vintage, trucks and cars and stuff like that, and motorcycles and all that stuff. And yeah, I don't see it going the way of the dinosaur anytime soon either. So, Chris Decker says, I love the idea of Tesla cars, but I hate the corporate structure. It reminds me of Apple. Exactly. Let's see, HR148. Look up Rich Rebuilds on YouTube. Is that the guy that takes salvaged parts and stuff like that? Like, he is a kind of like an underground Tesla mechanic, I think, right? And yeah, I've watched some of those videos where dudes will take totaled Teslas and rip out parts and stuff like that from the junkyard and everything. And it's wild, some of the stuff that he has to go through. Like, wild. Like, there were episodes like where he gets on the phone with Tesla and they try to give him the runaround. Like, oh, we can't send you the software, blah, 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 blah. And then he finally ends up getting said software from someplace, right? To reintegrate into a rebuilt Tesla. And it's wild. It's really wild. Like, it's like guerrilla mechanic. It's weird, but it's really cool. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. HR148 says they deactivate fast charging on you. Yeah. See, that's fucked, right? Chris Decker, end sports mode. Okay. Andrew says, awesome. Thank you. Welcome, buddy. German Dirt says, oh, God, that sounds awful. Yeah. Yeah. No master slide. Just single frame formatting. Oh. Yeah. I don't even want to think about it, to be honest with you. Henry says, true. Chris R says, I see the apocalypse happening before that. Then I'll have the last of the V8s. Right? HR148 says, yes, that's him, I guess. They won't even sell him a plastic clip. Yeah. Like he's like blacklisted or something. It's crazy. Yeah. Tony DC 5241 is over there on YouTube. Thank you for watching, Tony. Appreciate you. He says it will happen once the battery technology gets there. Biggest holdback is range / charging time. You look at the charging stations per square kilometer in Europe versus US, and you'll see it growing. Absolutely. And you know, even like around me, you see charging stations, which is kind of weird because I live like in the suburbs and stuff like that, and you would never think. You know, oh, nobody owns an electric car around here. That's unheard of. But no, there are a lot of charging stations popping up. And even, you know, back when I was still traveling, you know, before Rona, you know, you would pull into like, you know, gas stations or truck stops and stuff like that. And they would have like, you know, half a dozen charging stations in these places. So yeah, no, it is absolutely getting adopted to a much larger extent, much larger extent. So I mean that's good to see, right? But again, like Handren, you know, kind of mentioned, it's just like I don't see us putting down the gasoline and diesel car anytime soon, right? So, Chris Degger says Canadians are fighting for a right to repair. It fights against companies like Apple and Tesla. Yeah, we have those types of laws here in the U.S., but obviously with our system, things never get done very well or very efficiently. So it's usually on a state-by-state basis and not a federal level, unfortunately. But yeah. Henry says too much controlling to fully take off. If a company has the power to shut down your car, screw that. I agree. Yeah, I mean, it's just, and it's one of those things, man. It's just it's one of those things that electric car folks need to deal with in general, right? Yeah, it is what it is. Chris R says even Harley made an electric bike. If they can make a solar charger somehow, I think it would be much more viable. Yeah, exactly. Like, so why not have integrated solar cells in like, you know, on your roof of your car or something like that, or you know, someplace inconspicuous. Hell, I mean, even on your mirror, your side mirrors or something like that. Someplace, you know, that you won't notice it at a better rate. You know, even small solar cells at least are better than nothing, right? I mean, how you could park your car out in the middle of you know, in the middle of your driveway on a sunny day, and you're refueling your car basically, right? It's a no-brainer. But there are powers that be that obviously don't want that, right? What are you gonna do? Let's see. Chris R. Oh, we already read Chris's. He says, Andrew says, found what I'm looking for, Tim. Thank you. You're welcome, buddy. Good. Chris Degger says, the funny part is electric vehicles are not even that complicated. In the early 2000s, I built a all-electric drag bike. Word. Government won't allow me to insure it because reasons. LOL, but I still track race it. Nice. I bet that fucking thing hauls. You got to. Oh my god. I mean, you think about the electric drag bike like that, and I've seen people do that, and the power to weight ratio is off the fucking charts. It's insane. So I can only imagine, buddy. I can only imagine. Henry says that will hurt their business. The same reason some states won't allow solar powering houses. Yeah. Tony DC over there on YouTube, he says for sure the energy put into combustion engines is far more efficient. You're atomizing a small amount of fuel to produce 100 horsepower at idle. Yeah. Henry says solar power is the enemy of the corporates. Tell me about it, right? Tell me about it. But what are you going to do, right? There's not much we can do right now. Our system moves at a snail's pace, unfortunately. So it's good and bad. It has its pros and cons. So we'll see. But anyway. Oh, man. All right. So what is it? 5:19. So we got about 5 more minutes. Let's wrap it up. Good talking episode, right? We didn't build shit today. We did not build a single thing today. We didn't even lay our hands on plastic. Not even once. But still, I think it was a great episode because, you know, we just sat here and talked with one another and just kind of shot the shit and had fun and just chilled, right? So that's always a good time. Yeah. So you guys rocking the new Titans shirt today. Again, keep in mind, this is not yet in the store. This is not yet in the store. It will be soon. And I will put out a social media post on all the normal places when the new shirts are up. So keep an eye out for that, right? But we're also going to change over the brand of shirt over from Gildan to Bella Canvas, which is, I think, a nicer shirt. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that as well. But anyways, you guys, so if you want another one of the shirts that I have, hit up www.shadowmecha.com, hit the store button up at the top. You will find other shirts than this right now. Hats, prints of my work, all sorts of fun stuff like that. So go load up. If you are interested in any of the tools and materials that we normally work with on a daily basis, man, hit up the Amazon link below here on Twitch and YouTube. That side, if you're watching on Facebook, there's a lot of cool stuff in there. Now, mind you, I do get a bit of a commission based off the stuff that you buy, but it does not increase the cost for you. It goes to help out me, help out the stream, fuel our endeavors moving forward. If you are interested in kits, tools, paints, accessories, Mecha Decals, sheets 1 and 2, those are both in stock and shipping now, right down here from our good friends, USA Gundam Store. Adam and the fine crew down there will definitely have what you need. And as always, if you find value from the stream, even when we're just talking, or if you learn something and it just is just damn entertaining to you, man, then hit the like, subscribe, and follow on all the different social media channels to keep up to date with what we do off stream, obviously, because any postponement or cancellation, is that a word? Probably not, but cancellation notices, you know, for the stream, that's where I post them. You know, the post for the new shirts and everything, that's where I'll post them as well. So keep up to date on that stuff. And then, as always, if you know someone or a group of someones that could benefit from watching the stream, man, share it with them. It's the nice thing to do. Be a nice person. Anywho, let's just one last checkup with the gang here. Tony DC says, all right, done nerding, off to cook dinner. Thank you, Tony, appreciate you. Chris Degger says, LMAO, Henry, good talk, man, absolutely enjoyed it, yeah, 100%. Chris Degger says it was a fun episode. No, it was, yeah. Gert McDirt says, LOL, it was a blast. Man, I'm glad you guys kind of dig these, because, like, I never know, right? Like, it's fun to just talk sometimes, so yeah. Andrew says, I hope you didn't build shit. Disgusting to work with. Sanitize yourself. What? He says, Tim, I want that shirt in gray. Well, technically this is gray. It's just a dark heather gray. So, yeah. Mike Skyer says, can you do the sexy bunny Titans logo? Oh God, that one. I don't know. I don't know if I have the strength to do it, to be honest with you, Mike. We might be able to hook you up with like a one-off. But I don't know if I'm gonna do a mass thing. It's just oof, that's a bit much. Chris Degger says, I always forget to hit like until this speech. Hey, it is what it is, man. Gundam Guardian is over there on Twitch. He says hello, and dude, you're a little late. We're about to end it up actually, but thank you anyways. Appreciate you. In Kao Chi Hung is over there on YouTube. He says, cool episode. Bye, Tim. Good day. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. Chris Degger says, yeah. I'm not going to torture everybody with that one, Chris, but it's the thought that counts, right? So, anyway, you guys, I will hopefully be back here tomorrow, same time, and rocking another new shirt tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that, right? I think you're going to like the one tomorrow. I really dig it. I really, really dig it, and I think you guys are going to dig it as well, so tune in. But anyway, we'll be back tomorrow. Stay safe. Use common sense. Wash your hands. But above all else, man, build something cool, you guys. All right. See you tomorrow. Bye.